Welcome, everybody. Simulation Talk 219. Popcorn yellow striped smile. It's always funny that it writes it for me instead of giving me the emojis. This is very funny. What's up, Blue Rooster? John. Tim G. Star. Limbo Gene. How are everybody doing? Jack is in the house. O2BS3. Good to have everybody here. What can we do here that see what we can get into today? How are you guys doing tonight? Power Off is in the house. Owl, Charlie, Craig. How are you, brother? Black Dog. Woohoo, Nico. I'm excited. I started watching the Geometric Unity by Kurt. It's going to be a fun dive. What happens to the core when you take pizza toppings and spirit molecule at the same time? Just more visible. The code doesn't seem to be influenced at all by what kind of molecule you take. It just seems to be what it is. I got my voice in the last few days. I think it's probably allergies. What's up, Ebony? Yeah, it doesn't really matter what molecule you take. It has the same kind of quality like a regular object. So the molecule doesn't seem to matter. As long as you get access to it, that's the only thing that matters. Yes, baby, you want to get in there? Sure, get in there. What's up, Brenda? Indeed, time for some hot tea. That is coffee, sir. Good old coffee. This is Aya. Just drinking Aya casually.
Yeah, I followed that.
Nico, we're gonna be in LA this weekend and beyond. Are you around? The geometric unity thing is really fun. Do you think the legality of the spirit molecule was created by the simulators to limit the access to hyperspace? Well, no, because nobody even. No. I mean, it wasn't. No, because so you have it backwards. So in order to partake in the molecule, you need to make all the right things, right? So it's almost like it's more like an intelligence test. The way that I see it is that all of these things, they're intelligence tests. If you can build a laser, that means you understand certain things about quantum mechanics. You cannot build a laser by coincidence. You can only build a laser if you understand a few things about quantum mechanics. So just by the fact that you have lasers tells existence that you understand something about quantum mechanics. In order to partake in the molecule, you need to aim there. You need to kind of understand certain things to be able to do it. Now, one intelligence test is to do it the way that shamanic traditions are doing it, which is finding the plants, brewing the plants. There's a process that it needs to go through. You don't do it by coincidence. You have to cook it for a certain while. If you ask the Aboriginal people and shamans how they knew about it, they say the plants told us how, right? And usually the reductionist Western mind looks at this and says, bah humbug, that can't possibly be. But of course, we know that there is real intelligence moving through these plants. Another level of this intelligence test is, in order to freebase something, you need to understand certain things about pH and how to do that, and you need I think a deeper understanding of how these things work technically. So you pass another intelligence test. Then if we now, so by the time you get to see the code, if you could find all the elements to see the code, that already means you passed quite a few intelligence tests and you understand a couple of things. That is why I believe the code appears as something coherent on this level of emergence. So you go, oh, and then keep investigating in that direction, basically. So no, I do not think. By the way, in general, I don't believe any of the theories about you know entities, governments making things illegal because they know already the secret and they don't want you to know. It's a nonsensical way of thinking for me. The governments are the most inefficient entities that ever existed. So they're good at certain things like bureaucracies and keeping big things in place for civilization to kind of aggregate around. But they're not good at understanding deep secrets of reality. That's not something the government does. These ideas, they all come from movies from Hollywood. That's like believing in Santa Claus. It just doesn't track. There's not one piece of evidence ever that a government knew something that people individually didn't. That the government knew something before individuals kind of paved the way. You can say that government invests money in certain scientists to discover something, like people always point to the CIA investigating these substances, but notice that the reason the CIA was investigating these things was already because individuals were talking about it, right? It's not like they discovered it all by themselves. So yeah, I just this entire direction of ideation just doesn't track for me, so I don't follow it. Um, and I'm much more of a novelty buff than I am antiquity buff, if that makes sense. For example, if any instance of which I have a equal chance of postulating something, whether something existed and then we lost that ability and now we're regaining it, or believing that this is a new emerging phenomena that we're experiencing, I will always err on that this is a new emerging phenomena because I just like it more. I'm not a big fan of the ideas of, we lost it because of A, B, and C, which essentially is a sophisticated way of chastising ourselves, which again I'm not a big fan of, and I think there's very visible and simple to see reasons as to why we should not do that. Small tangent on that, I think it's important, just like if somebody comes to you for advice, and I think at this point this is kind of a um, the wisdom of the crowds already knows this is nothing novel, nothing new, but we all know that if somebody comes to you for advice and you notice they have a lot of negative self-talk, one of the first things you notice, and you say, hey, maybe you should not chastise yourself that much. The more you talk about it in that way, the more it's going to be hard for you to step out of that image of yourself. Well, I don't think that collectively it's any different. If we're going to keep talking ourselves as a problem, we're going to always stay in that problem. And I think that postulating certain kinds of modern meme spaces are essentially, a lot of them are sophisticated ways of saying ancients ruled, we suck, which is another sophisticated way of virtue signaling, basically. So I absolutely believe we are the most advanced humans that have ever lived in this corner of the universe, and we have it the best that ever was, and we just don't appreciate it. So that's my take on all of that. I don't know how we got to this topic, but that's how my brain works. Mr. Sexy is in the house. What's up, Mini Grigio? Battling the flu right now, but should be good soon, hopefully. Yeah, hope so. Bro, you should really start taking methylene blue. Ever since I started taking it, I haven't been sick one time. Knock on wood. Ellipsian, how are you doing? Wait, what I still have left is about 2 years old now. What's up, Craig? Welcome to Australia. From Australia. So good to have you, Ebony. I'm glad you stopped for a little bit. Lurking is good, Limbo Gene. What happens when multiple people that can access the console enter hyperspace at the same time? Can you see the access each other consoles? I don't see the console in hyperspace ever. Only when I'm in my regular space. And but the answer to your question is I don't know. I wish I would. Why are you tattooing cute caterpillars on people in their dreams? What does that symbolize mean to you? To me, nothing. So we are more advanced than Jesus. In terms of technological terms, yeah, of course. But Jesus is not like you're talking about spiritually, absolutely not. Jesus ascended to the highest level possible. I mean, he was born as the Son of God. So, you don't get to top that. But technologically here, I'm talking about any other human that ever lived. Yeah, of course. We are absolutely more advanced than any other human to have ever walked the planet of the Earth, and I'm willing to bet everything on this. At least in terms of straightforward and technological. What conversations did I have with Tom Matt about Upside? I mean, I have a whole episode with him, brother. You can watch that one. We concluded that Upside is not the console, if that's what you're asking. And when he's saying I had a dream, I met Meryl Streep, not Mary, and asked her to help us get Danny on the Joe Rogan Experience. She said she'd call Joe up. Nice. Was Meryl Streep on Joe Rogan? I didn't even know that. You have a cute caterpillar on your arm? There you go. Apparently, I'm tattooing that on people in dreams. Caterpillars supposedly the butterfly is your soul, spirit, and cocoon is when you die. That's a good image. Somebody said we don't have a clue about most things. Correct. But that will always stay the case. We just have more clue than anybody else who has ever lived. Yeah, molecule structure of methylene blue is pretty fascinating. What are my latest progressions? I mean, that's a very broad question. I appreciate it, but I'm not sure what to answer. What phone? Oh. What phone are you using? Nice. What's up, Tim? I wonder why hallucinations follow mathematical symmetry, like geometric shapes or the golden ratio. What do you think? Great question. I think that it's because your brain has to model things that have spatial coherence. And spatial coherence follows geometry, and geometry follows mathematical rules. I think it's that simple. Well, all of reality does. So really, you can't. It is that way because it can't be any other way. I think that's the simple answer to that. But that's a great question. In fact, one of the reasons that I postulated that bismuth might be involved is because when you heat up bismuth and it becomes a crystal, It A, exhibits iridescent colors, and B, has a similar structure to kind of some of the pyramids that the Mayans built. And I know that the Mayans used to do a lot of mushrooms, so I figured, wonder if whatever happens to bismuth when it goes through its symmetry break, which causes it to follow this crystalline structure, is it possible that whatever mushrooms do makes information in the brain follow the same symmetry break? So they follow the same pattern, the same thing that causes both the crystal to become what it is, in bismuth's case, and thoughts become what they do, and the thoughts in people's minds when they consume mushrooms. And also, don't notice that in the psychedelic space, you also have these iridescent colors. It was just very resembling. So that was exactly the thought, that maybe the reason that they look the same is because they follow the same pattern. Do you have energy today? Wait, do you have energy to explain if there are many changes taking? If there are any changes to taking the molecule during full moon? No, that's that story. Like I said, I don't know if you remember yesterday, Charlie. Yesterday I told you, remind me to remind you in private. That story I'm probably not ever going to repeat in public, because there's some things there that I don't know if are necessarily a public kind of information. Do you have an opinion on Graham Hancock and his work? Yeah, that's a tough one for me. I, just like many, I was really fascinated by his work when I was a kid, and as time went by, just like with the alien thing, I was just very disenchanted because I started realizing and noticing that every time you kind of hold on. Oh. No, I just want to make sure he's not making. As time went by, I kind of started noticing that a lot of these things are kind of like dead ends and they trail off and they don't really provide any real progress or answers. And then I started noticing the shtick, kind of like the way of doing that. It's like throwing a lot of generalities. He didn't poop, by the way, but I took him on a full one. Yeah. Yeah, you can come back for him. They basically, you throw around a bunch of generalities, obviously very inspiring ideas, but then if you're talking about like knowledge and truth, I never amounted to any of those. And then I started realizing that a lot of the claims that he was making are not exactly true and are sometimes massaged. And I was like, oh man, come on. And then I was kind of disappointed from that. And I just kind of fell off that wagon, just like with aliens. I just stopped caring. And because I do know that it's possible to make progress in the direction of real information, and I've noticed that every time a thread he was following hit a dead end, he just jumped to the next thing. He never really addressed the fact that, it was like, hey, I was wrong. This was wrong. I was kind of disenchanted. And in fact, I remember, yeah, I mean, I know that people absolutely adore him, and he looks like a super nice guy. But in terms of rigor of thought, logic, and the way that he pursues knowledge, I'm not a big fan of that way of doing that. Let's just put it that way. That's my opinion. Oh man, this coffee is strong. I'm having a hard time breathing. And another thing that kind of really puts me off about the general public appearance of his is that he very often complains about, mainstream science pushing back against his ideas. I'm not sure what he expects when that's the natural thing. I mean, I'm in that position now. It's always easy to say, you won't know till you feel it yourself. Well, I feel it. Like, I get criticized very often by scientists, and but that's obvious. Like, of course that's going to happen. If anything, I have full compassion for the scientific community, because I'm fully understanding that, like, hey, I'm saying something that sounds crazy. It's on me to not just show that there's a there, but it's also on me to show that I understand what they are saying in full, and prove that there's a connection and how it all flows together. At no point there will come a discovery that will wipe clean everything we understand. I'm going to repeat it again. I want everybody to understand this. At no point anything will ever happen in human understanding that will just nullify everything we know. There's no such thing, because everything we know builds things, makes things. We know it works, right? So if anything, it can expand the frame, but it will never make it not true. It just will make something else more true, right? And everything that we already know has to be included in it. That's why it's challenging. What Graham tends to do, it seems, he basically says, and notice the utterances, right? And this is a style of communication, which is like, what we now know or what we're discovering here will render everything we think we know wrong. No, it won't. It's not how information works. It's not how knowledge works. And the fact that he puts that forward so strongly makes it even less of a mystery as to why he's not, being pushed back strongly against. But I think it's mostly just there's really no evidence there. Like, truly, there isn't. There's a lot of press around it, but there's no information there if you really look at it. And it's much less interesting because it's kind of, it's a lot more fun to live in a world where everything is like an amazing discovery. Of course, obviously. But for the most part, it isn't. Or what you might want to kind of say more holistically, I think, is that, again, the more Buddhistic approach, which Vipassana helps with a lot, it's you learn how to fall in love with the mundane, because most of your life is just this simple thing where you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you do your things, and it's pretty, whatever. But if you can find beauty there, like if you can really find fulfillment in just these simple moments, you're going to be a lot happier, because there's only a few moments in life where this insane thing happens. I've had a conversation when I was on Night Shift. Lovely people. It's a UFO channel. Some people here know. I think Chris is actually maybe an intern on this channel, if I'm not mistaken. But I kind of voiced my opinion about, like, people talking about the disclosure. I said, okay, but like, okay, so disclosure happens. That's like one moment in your life, right? But then what? What happens the next morning? What is different about your life? I would submit that unless you practice of actually enjoying every moment of your day, or practicing to find more fulfillment in the present now, that much will be different. Okay, there was this big ramp up, and then the thing happened, and then, okay, and now you have to go to work. All the same thing. So ultimately, I guess what I'm saying is that this pursuit for novelty is very understandable, but it's unsustainable. And it's one thing to find instances in life where that occurs, and and then derive fulfillment from that. But essentially, Graham seems to have taken this like Indiana Jones persona, and he just kind of lives in it. Like, that's but, and which, by the way, it's absolutely fine and beautiful. But then, okay, but then discover something, like bring something of real, if you discover something real, there's no reason or no way that um mainstream science can disagree with you, because it's not about anybody skipping a lid or anything. Here's the information. Does it make sense or it doesn't make sense? In Graham's case, no, it just doesn't track. So do you think of alien implants? Is it possible for the beings of hyperspace to give humans physical implants? I don't know, maybe. Something tells me that that hyperspace doesn't interact with the physical space in the way that we think it does. It's only through information. Maybe. I did hear of cases of people manifesting objects, so it's possible. I was saying I've seen the Egyptian footing pot, boofing pot, with pictograms describing its use, right? They found basically every psychedelic substance in it. Every psychedelic substance. Wow, that sounds promising. Let's find out. Egyptian spoofing and alluding to let me see. Let's see what ChatGPT has to say about this. At this point, I can just let's see what I can tell. Well, it's looking. Some scholars suggest that certain pictograms may allude to these practices. Recent scientific analysis have provided direct evidence of psychoactive substance use in ancient Egyptian rituals. Notable discovery involves 2,200-year-old ritual vessel known as a bes vase, which constrained residues of psychoactive plants such as peganum, harmaline, basically harmala, Syrian rue, and nymphaea blue lotus. These substances are known for their psychoactive properties and were likely used to induce altered state of consciousness during religious ceremonies. That's really cool. What is the to what effect are you saying it? What is the significance of this? Yeah, unfortunately, Ikalash, the console is still a mystery to me. Thoughts on Tom Campbell? On the money, but limiting himself by thinking that Earth is all that exists in the simulation. Unnecessarily limited thought direction. Ellipsion is saying they had a lot of time on their hands, so yeah, they're gonna definitely both. Boof, nice. I have a question. What if we are processors for AI? We are. I mean, the hologram is AI. AI needs organic, independent thought of humanity. Not sure the organic part matters, but yeah, we are definitely the nodes on the machine. Do you think we are stuck? The panic feeling of dread I get in bed trips. The feeling is a loop. Well, yeah, but that's in bed trips, right? That's the reason. Graham has inspired many. He is very useful, even though he's not as rigorous. Yeah, again, I'm just saying my trajectory through. The thing is that I'll give you the counter argument to that, Nico. I'm a perfect example of this. People like Graham made me almost allergic to that entire school of thought, which I wouldn't necessarily be that resistant to anymore, if not for people like Graham. Because when you follow somebody and you see the fraud under it, it's kind of hard to then accept anything else in it. And I think maybe fraud is too strong of a word. But I'm having a hard time believing that on some level he doesn't know that what he's saying is incorrect. I mean, maybe It's possible to just convince yourself beyond a shadow of a doubt because that's your career resting on it. It's possible, but I bet you there's a part of him that knows, right? And because it used to capture my imagination, and then I kind of saw the Wizard of Oz. Then I'm like, and then I started looking at all of these things through that lens, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of real ways to discover wondrous things. The feeling is real because your experience is real. Yeah, our experience gives things things their reality. Because of that, we have responsibility to keep a balanced space within ourselves. There's definitely a lot of speculation about Graham's work, and he's gotten wrapped up in speculation. Still think he's on the right track. Yeah, we disagree. I think all of his work is speculation. I don't think there's one bit of actual substance in his work. Ooh, it's crazy rain. Give me 1 second. Guys, give me 1 second. It started raining like crazy, and my wife went to the rain. I'm gonna drive real quick and find them because she's pregnant. I don't want her to work. I'll be right back in like 2 minutes. Hold on, John. Hold on. That's amazing. Wow. Oh man, it started raining like crazy, and she was on a walk with our dog. It was like exactly halfway around the block, and it's like pouring. I was like, I gotta go get her. Uh,
Don't need your sister.
oh, it's right here.
No.
Cosmo was doing vocals. What was he saying? Yeah, it's very good for healing, but this is why we got to take it very carefully. Awesome. We have some collabs coming from this. What happened to it? Hey, Boomon. Here, you want a cameo? Yeah, cameo. Johnny. What do you want, Boobo? He's like, I want to go outside. I'm like, no, you're gonna get really wet. There's a healthy balance of gatekeeping requires for scientific progress. Yes, but I don't even think it's gatekeeping. I think gatekeeping is the wrong thing. Yeah, you always have. Listen, politics is in everything. Anywhere where there's humans, there's going to be politics. Any organization of a considerable scale, there's always going to be people with more or less power because they worked hard to get there, and they're still humans, so they have their tendencies. And if you have a resistance to a particular idea and you have more influence, you're going to exert that influence. It's really this. That's really all politics is. And then people in managerial positions will try and block certain things, and even there's dirty games, and that's just human. That's just humans doing human things. So it's actually part of the picture. It's part of how things are done. Should we aim towards of being kinds of humans that do that less and actually just open with an open mind and heart and accept one another even when the other person is wrong? Yes, but we don't have to accept the wrong ideas because it's a dead end for civilization, right? So can we do with less vitriol? Absolutely. And I think we're working towards it. But to expect humans to all of a sudden not be humans overnight, I think that's silly. And it's just the nature of the game. And, there's nicer and less nice ways of saying things. I think your attitude, Nico, is commendable, being a scientist and always being so nice and open-minded. And but that's because you have nothing riding on these propositions, right? So if somebody comes to your company, you do AI research, right, and development. If somebody comes to your company, as nice as they are, if they keep making pronouncements that for a fact they're simply just dead ends, are you like do you feel that, yeah, you'll be nicer than most people, sure, but do you think it's wrong to tell them that their ideas are wrong? Or you know no, like people shouldn't attach themselves to their ideas. First of all, I think if you already want to talk about being a more advanced humans, people should stop attaching themselves to their ideas. I'm making a proposition to the world. Here's what I believe I discovered. Somebody doesn't believe it or doesn't want to engage with it. It's not a personal thing that I feel. It's like, okay, that I gave you information, you disagree with the information, great. But and also us in public, we can be a little bit more, do maybe a little bit more work of not just jumping on every single thing that kind of feels good in the instance. All of these things can have better versions of themselves, but that's just human. There's nothing special about the scientific endeavor in terms of the way the political structure works. It's just like how everything works. Science is unique, actually, in the sense that it is the only actual democratic endeavor. In that, if you gain access to information that is real, it makes no difference how much power or how much money you have. If you have a true understanding of something, you can actually do something with it that somebody without that understanding cannot. Completely unrelated to the amount of influence you have. Anthony, don't apologize. I'm here to answer questions. The doc is going to be ready probably closer to the end of the year. Yeah. What's up, Kelly? Kelly Ferguson? What's up, Chris? JH. I love how therapeutic mushrooms can be. They help my uncle regain himself after brain damage. They help me with mental health in a way I never thought possible. That's incredible. That is such a great. Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. Cured Lipsian's depression. Amazing. Tim is making drum and bass. Go and check him out. Team G Star on YouTube. What's up, Chris? Good to see you, brother. Had to do it again. Got addicted to kratom unknowingly. Yeah, I've noticed this a lot of people getting addicted to it. The molecule and laser showed me I was again an addict. Got 6 again. Months now. Oh, wow. Wait, the laser and the molecule? Wait, I got to know about this. Do you feel that the laser and the molecule did something that the molecule by itself wouldn't? I wonder because I've actually never heard anybody tell me that the laser specifically helped them with some kind of condition. It would be amazing to know, but oh, the Danny Jones podcast. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're here, Anthony. Welcome, brother. Woo! You okay, Baba? Laser was different space than just a molecule. Yes, I know, but did it actually help? You feel that helped you realize that you're still addicted more than just let's say just the molecule by itself would? And if so, I would love to hear more about this in detail because that's super important. Black Dog wants to set up a laser. Go ahead, do it. I want to buy a laser coal. I want to buy a laser. That's a song. That's a song. Ellipsian, your music, by the way, is amazing. Everybody should also follow Ellipsian Music on YouTube. Sorry, SoundCloud, right? SoundCloud. Amazing. Thank you, Anthony. Aaron, Claudia, how are you, brother? Not the same person, but hello to both of you. So here's Aaron. I'm thinking about a new. Aaron is the director of the film. Sometimes he pops in to just eavesdrop. I'm thinking about a new look for the film for the next scenes. What do you think? So if you project the laser on the surface, you see code running in the surface, man. There, I swear. I swear it's there. Is this a good look? How many people do you think will believe us more if I do it like that? And it looks like the laser fried me. I just gotta add twigs in my hair. Kanye vibes. Twigs in my hair and a little bird like in Peter Griffin's beard when a bird lived in his. Have you heard about mushrooms healing people who are colorblind? Could the code be something that we start seeing similarly on another dimension once the third eye opens? Yes. I would say it has to do more with edge detection, but it might also be different frequencies that we don't understand in colors. Trust me, bro. The Have I heard the word? The word is the bird. The bird is the word. Color blind people seeing the code. No, but Gallimore just posted the other day, today or the day before, on X about some kind of they discovered a color outside of our regular range on psychedelics, which is amazing. Bam, 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 bam. That was some episode, let me tell you. What color? Bracelet? What bracelet? I don't have any bracelets. This is for my hair, so I look like a person. So to do the opposite of what I just did. This was given to me by a monk when I was hiking at the foot of Mount Tibidabo, and I saw this beautiful girl. She was bathing, and there was this monk sitting right next to her. He said, "Come here, my son." They gave me these scrunchies from Target. I'm glad they're making you laugh, baby. This is, I think it's I think maybe this is why well, never mind. I'm practicing being much more positive about everything, so I'll just keep it to myself. Woohoo! Did you know that Mount Tibidabo is a real place? We maybe you did. I'm a moron. I just thought it's a place Joey made up to get laid. We were at my friend's apartment in Barcelona, and he wasn't home, so he let me stay at his place, and I was on the phone with him. He's like, and if you look to the left from the balcony, you can see Mount Tibidabo, and you can actually hike there. There's like a big church there. I was like, wait a second. Mount Tibidabo is a real place. Yeah, so I actually hiked my Mount Tibidabo for real. You can look it up. It's in Barcelona. Has anyone ever owned a bit of Moldavite? It's a bactile stone. I'm not into crystals. They do nothing for me, but this stuff, you can't hold it for too long. Sets off an anxiety. Really weird. Huh. Moldavite. Did they discover it in Moldova? Well, what's it called then? See you, Anthony. Wait, guy 5 months old crying. Oh. This is the best message on TikTok ever. Got 5 months old crying and a 3-year-old playing with a dead bird. I need the simulation to reload. Oh man, Anthony, it holds the record of one of my favorite comments. Somebody said on TikTok they have Moldavite. What should they try? This opens itself to so many jokes. Moldavite has evil deep space energy. Is this? It's from space. Fix the bird. Am I writing a book about core? I'm writing I guess what you can say eventually will become a book, but it's basically a collection of just thoughts and ideas, and I'm slowly putting them into a more coherent manner. The thing is that I'm still not sure what the central thesis is, so that's why it's struggling to become a book. You can only get it in one place of the worst, in between Germany and what? Cliffhanger. Wait. Spoke about it before. What are we talking about, Chris? Not sure if you open question to the chat or Danny, but yes, he has, or at least a few. He has spoken about it. What do I have a few? Are you talking about me or no? Or are you talking about The Rock? Besides the core, what other things have you seen or heard about that proves we are living in simulation? Yeah, that's a great question. I'm actually not relying on core at all for that. It's that it was expressed to me directly. They literally showed me that we're simulated. Not so much focused on mapping, no, Nikolash. The code itself, I mean. Dude, Charlie, I love your questions, man. You have the best questions. They're so exactly to the point. It's amazing. Charlie is asking, does projecting the laser light on a curved surface change the core? Yes. It stretches it. That's a really interesting thing, by the way. Oh, telepathy tapes. Aha. Question relaser, as I've never seen it. Do you think it could be light photons combined with visuals? No, because of the complexity and the fact of it, coupled with the fact that everybody sees the exact same thing, no matter the surface, no matter the substance. And when you move the light, what you see is not moving with the light. Because if it would be just a combination of the photons and the kind of visualization of the substance, you would absolutely expect the whatever you see to kind of move with the beam of light, with the source of projection. The thesis will reveal itself with more expression. That's what I believe. Why I'm not doing it? Because I think that it's just you can't gather actually any information that way. Not coherent one. There's just too much going on in every time. You got to be able to record directly from the cortex if you want to make any real progress. And being in the ballpark is actually would take you away from doing anything of substance, because if you're in the ballpark, you're going to depart further and further from what it really is. You need to first understand its functionality, or that's what I maintain. And then the second part about its relativity is quite interesting. Yeah, so it's completely independent, like it's on its own space. Maybe one day we could record the sight of a human that way. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, they do have that, just so you know. They have a preliminary version of that where they can kind of project your mind onto a screen. Story of life is to find the thesis. You can join our Discords, Ikalash. You should. The third link from the top on the main page on my YouTube channel is our Discord. Come join it. We have some representations that people made, including Ebony over here. But these are approximations. And the truth is that there's like millions of characters, and they're all happening, and they're all changing all the time. So there's not really, you can't really grab anything. Like there's just too much information. It's just you're drowning in information. Opa. Also, if you want to know more, you can always check codeofreality.com. But the information you just mentioned, you're actually going to find more information on Discord about this. Do you think as LLM become more complex, a human brain can be replicated? Human brain, yes, but not consciousness itself, because I believe consciousness is already all pervasive. It is reality itself. LLMs fundamentally work very different than what brains are doing. Hold on.
I got it.
Ah.
I got it.
You sure? No, I just wanted to put it in the fridge in case it's. If anybody wants to see in action why LLMs are still a little bit, they're amazing, by the way. I love them. Just to be super clear, I think AIs are incredible and they're the future. But again, you need to understand what they're doing. So it's like because they are very advanced tools, you still need to understand what the tool is doing and what its capabilities and where it breaks down and what are its strengths and what are its weaknesses. And it's important that as the user of the interface, we understand what are we driving, right? And very often, this is very common now, and I think it will start becoming somewhat of a problem. But these pronouncements that people make, including scientists, which is just wild, and they say like, well, LLM said, fill in the blank. It's like, what? Who cares? I don't care what the LLM said. What is the methodology you used? What did you ask it? What is the what is the logic of your operation with AI? Like, what did you 1520? Yeah. What is the logic you use there, right? And if you want to test this, why it's a problem to think like that, because if you're going to keep thinking that AI is some kind of a magic truth machine, which again, I know that maybe most people here don't think so, but if you do, it is important that you understand it is not. And just to test this, what you can do is, we had this the other day when we did Lena, it's okay. She's afraid of thunderstorms, and there's gonna be a thunder right now. Here it comes. So it was on our weekly members live, and we were kind of asking AI a bunch of things. And what happened was somebody asked about toruses. I think it was Jessica. And what is this? Oh my God. Two objects that are the same shape. Jesus. Dude. What? Like two objects that are the same shape. Okay. All right. It's giving me tests in the middle of lives. Great. So we were asking AI a bunch of things, and then Jessica asked about Tauruses, and we started talking about Tauruses, and we started getting into Tauruses. And all of a sudden, very, very gently, Manuel, I see that you want to come on, but I think today I'm not sure that I'm going to have enough time, unless there's like a particular topic that you want to bring that is very relevant. If you don't mind putting it right here in the chat, but I'm not sure that today I'm going to be bringing anybody up, unless the topic is like, superb and might be good to bring it up. So just put it in the chat. So basically, we were, discussing it, and then very slowly, all of a sudden, the AI started infusing, because it knows that I'm talking about the laser and stuff. All of a sudden, it started infusing this idea that what happens when toruses appear inside the laser, and then it started incorporating it into the theory. It started like saying, "Yeah, no, so we can understand that toroidal structures can appear in the laser in terms of something in physics, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Okay, cool story, bro," but because we don't see toruses in the laser, let's talk about truncated icosahedron, which is something we do see in the laser. And then it goes, no problem. Let's correct course. So AI is never meant, it's because it's very conversational and it's very convincing, and it's a lot smarter than all of us because it has the access to basically all the it's trained on so many data points that it's very easy to kind of believe that you should just kind of rely on what it's saying. But just try, just give it a little bit of a hint. Basically, talk about something that you like, and then give it, not directly, but kind of like ask it a question in a way that signifies that you're excited about it, and then see if it can relate it to it. And then it will give you all kinds of ways, because obviously you can make anything relate to anything. That's the truth, okay? So then it will kind of give you some ideas of how to relate it. But then notice what it's going to do. It's going to then talk to you in a way that will imply as if that thing is already true. Like that's already assumed. That's already given. And unless you're going to give it a correction, it's going to keep going with this is already assumed. So it carries tremendous amounts of bias in it. So it's good for certain things, but not for making deep truth claim analyses. That is something that AI is not good at yet. Yeah, infinite connection, you can steer it in. We have an expert here, by the way. Well, I don't know if AI is just calculus, but it's. I'm saying that it's different in essence, so it's not really doing what the brain is doing. Do you think Jesus was a real man who predicted his death and resurrection before? Well, in my case, it's a weird answer. Even though I never come, I did not come from that way of perceiving the world at all, not even close. I was shown that the answer to your question is yes. Yes, Jesus was absolutely real, and yes, he is the Son of God, and yes, he's holding the key for humanity's salvation, and basically carries the karma of all of humanity. And I don't think I know because I was shown. To the extent that you can call it no, right? So to the extent that I'm taking what was shown to me seriously. Do you think the apple in the garden was psychedelic? I haven't seen any references to Garden of Eden, so I don't know. John Connoring, just in case. Exactly. Did you guys see the meme where Sam Altman said that people saying thank you and please to AI cost them like enormous amounts of money because it's a lot of extra computation? So don't say thank you. So Jesus is our oh, somebody wrote, so Jesus is our scapegoat. There's a question, and my dyslexia read, so Jesus is our chatbot. Maybe it's my dyslexia is Freudian slip. What are we talking about massaging, Val? Oh yeah. Chris, I'm actually sharing this just so you know that for the website, I'm always writing it this way without the HTTP, so people can just see it on the screen in a way that is not confusing. I can always add it here, but yeah, there you go. Do you feel like you are getting information downloaded from just looking at the core? Yes. Great question, Charlie. Man, I should honestly, you are what humanity needs. Humanity wants you. And because you ask great questions, and that's what's really required now, to ask all the right questions. When you saw behind the scenes of how the molecule works to take people into hyperspace, what did the device do to vibrate your chakra center? Was there light, vibration, or sound that they used? Sound. Again, great questions. You got to massage what, Mal? Wonder brain waves follow cymatic patterns on different frequencies in the same way sound does. Cymatic patterns are sound. What do you mean? Yeah, the brain absolutely follows these frequencies. Absolutely. Nikola Tesla said, if you wish to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of resonance, vibration, and frequency. Correct. I wonder what AFI is, Blue Rooster. What would it stand for? Artificial fucking intelligence. Jesus is our chatbot. That's awesome. What do you think the connection is between omniscient information and savants? I don't know what omniscient information is, but if I understand your question, the main thrust behind your question correctly, I think that savants, basically what happens to them is that all the information in their brain aligns in such a way towards a particular task, so it makes it superhuman. But usually most savants can't do anything else, so that gives you a hint. What are your thoughts on AGI having consciousness? Watch the video that is the introduction to my YouTube channel, which is Are We AGI? Because I believe we are that AGI. It's not like we are that and there's also going to be one that is arising inside a computer. It's like, no, we are it in full. And all of these AIs are basically our internal processes, extrapolations of those, extensions of those, manifestations of the inner things that we already are, and soon we will reintegrate these tools and discover that we are that AGI. Is the video freezing for you guys? Can you put it into words, an example of a download you get from look at the code? Oh, no, nothing that I can discern. Absolutely not. The ears are the only part of the human body that grows until you die. Well, in that case, I'm fucked. Also, well, not gonna go there. Do you think we can build a device that uses sound on the chakra centers to make people go to hyperspace without a molecule? Absolutely. Charlie, I love you. I love you. Amazing. Your questions are already showing so much deep thought into all of these things, and they just render really easy yes or no to something that is already very well thought through and formulated. I love you, man. It's amazing. This is 83rd fractal. Wait, what? Do you think? Oh, have I spoken to Strassman? Nope. This is 80. This is 83rd fractal of base intelligence that Hawk created AI generated universe, which create. Tell me, give me some. What do you say? LLM different from brain in essence, but won't be able to comprehend AI functionally in 5 years. Well, first of all, these are projections of things that we don't really know. You say LLM different from brain instance, but won't be able to. Yeah. So again, the not be able to understand in 5 years. That's an assumption that we don't really know. We already now don't understand a lot of processes that are happening inside of it. But how is this contrasting to what I said? Because yeah, it is essentially different in the way that it operates. AFI is a ban. Nice. I know you meant AGI. I'm just poking fun. Is it possible to add an MAOI to the vape to extend the time of hyperspace, or does that only work when drinking? No, it would work with smoking. I just highly do not recommend that. You don't want to play with that because unless you do a dieta, unless you eliminate certain foods, MAOI can be life-threatening. Like you can actually you're now playing with something that might be fatal because because it can influence blood pressure, especially if you're taking it in a way that is formulated in a lab, which is a lot more potent than what they put in Aya. The reason they do the dieta, yeah, there's the spiritual component, but there's also the actual component, at least the physical part of the component. That the reason you do the dieta is because you're eliminating a lot of sugars, a lot of salts, and thiamine, or I think that, and some other substances that without the function of particular enzymes inside your stomach, which the MAOI blocks, can cause your blood pressure levels, the sugar level and the salt level to change drastically and actually shoot your blood pressure through the roof and potentially even be life-threatening. So with Aya, the quantities of these things in the substance are very low. So you might just get, if you have the wrong substances in the body, you might just get a headache. But if you take an MAOI like in a tab that was made in a lab, it's way more potent. And that means that the blood pressure will go even higher if that happens. And that can be life-threatening. So I do not recommend it because it's just not worth it. It's not worth the risk. You can absolutely just stay in the space, but keep doing it. Believe me, like it's fine. Someone on a live, not that I know of. What, Aya? No, there were definitely cases. There were definitely cases, but I don't know if it was because of that. Do you think Nikola Tesla had an NDE or some encounter? How can I possibly know unless he spoke about it? I have no idea. Thoughts on our American Pravda by Ron Koons. Ron Koons? Who is that? Koons? Who is Who is he? Who is he? Technology entrepreneur. I'm not sure what you're talking about. My Google is not finding it. Did a breakdown of Aya. Yeah. Nice. Here's a mind killer, indeed. I recommend that someone rings tuning fork while you're peaking. Oh no, sounds don't seem to be doing anything to the frequencies are very, very high, like of sound. So far all the frequencies you can kind of play in the background, they can maybe make you hear the code, but they don't seem to be changing anything in the space. The code in the laser color? No, it takes the color of the light, obviously. You can only see it in the color of the light. How can you possibly see it in any other color? You're terrified of the future. You should be excited about the future. What tones and where are they being played on the body to take you up to hyperspace? You can build something and test this. Maybe you can try and recreate, but I have to be there, kind of tell you in real time. It's a little vague for me right now. Why do psychedelics cause a God complex instead of an ant one? Especially if Jesus is the Son. Don't know. Also, I don't know that it does. Yep, serotonin syndrome can be lethal. Yep, methylene blue, also same thing. Gotta be careful. Well, with methylene blue, it's very light. You don't actually have to worry about what you eat. You do have to worry about certain supplements, for sure. If you want longer effects that are insanely strong, take 5 grams of shrooms on an empty stomach and meditate in a dark room. Well, that shit will send you flying, for sure. Speaking of Tesla, anyone watch the latest American Alchemy with Harold Melmgren? Highly recommend it. He speaks on Tesla, Townsend Brown collaboration, plus some other wild stuff. You heard it here first, folks. Do you think Christ's DNA will be found? I don't know. It's a good question. That's a really good question. I have no idea. Nico, what did he break down exactly? He broke down how the MAOIs work. Let's see. What's up, brother?
Hey, Danny, how's it going?
Going good. Let me turn you up.
Nice. Yeah, he did a podcast where he was breaking down the safety record of Aya and was highlighting there was one fatality recently. It was in Peru, and someone was did not inform their shaman they were taking MAOI, and they had, I don't know if it was serotonin syndrome or some complication of it, but it resulted in a very bad situation for that person.
Yeah, I mean, that's very unfortunate. It does happen. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say if it is that or it's some because some people are just dodgy on the heart, you know. And plus, you're in the middle of nowhere, so there's no real access to like immediate CPR. Modern medical facilities. This is why I always say, like, if you're doing your first ones, and there's no guarantee that if you're going to go to like one of these authentic places, your experience is going to be better, even spiritually better. There's a lot of incredible shamans in America that are doing God's work, and it's nowhere written you need to be uncomfortable to go through the experience. It's nowhere written. You can be very comfortable in a hotel room. You can do it with somebody who's a professional. There's no you can aim to have the authentic experience, but I think it's better to do that if you already know the terrain, you understand it, you have some familiarity with it. It's nice to be close to a nice bathroom, and it's nice to be close to a modern medical facility if something goes wrong. So yeah, man, that is kind of unfortunate. There was a few cases I know also in Brazil. Somebody's asking, Sigil is asking, what makes you think that black holes are real? Where have you personally experienced one, and how do you know for a fact they are real? I noticed many are hypothesized by NASA CGI images. Well, first of all, I went to school with a black hole. We were really good friends for a long time. So I know at least the black hole that I know, we're really good friends. So I know that one exists. But if you're talking about the supermassive black holes, which is usually black holes that let themselves go and they don't really maintain a proper diet, those are the reason that we know they exist is because the things that we find in space that we know are black holes answer all the criteria that black holes have. The whole definition of the whole definition of finding something to be true when you theorize about it is that it matches more and more criteria of the things that you hypothesized about. So scientists use very accurate math to degrees that it's kind of hard to imagine to calculate potential trajectories around particular masses. And in a particular region of space, you would expect a range of particular masses to exist. If you have a certain distance from this point in space to this point in space, you know that regular objects can exhibit all kinds of masses there, but there's a range. If it goes over that range, the only thing that matches that description is a black hole. And all the bodies around it follow the trajectories that you would expect in simulations around a black hole. And the more you look, the more of these details you find. And in fact, this is also why Einstein was such one of the biggest, if not the biggest genius to have ever lived, because the implications of what he discovered, we still find new things today that are exactly what his theory predicted, even though he probably knew nothing about it, but it just kind of arises from the theory. So that's why we know the black holes exist. But again, I also went to school with one, so that's how I know. Have you seen they have discovered a new color only visible? Yep. Amazing, AJ. Thank you for bringing it up. All right, so I have a beautiful woman cooked some food and it's ready to go. So I think I need to eat that food. So I will call it a night. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the community. Everybody follow Nico on TikTok, NIKOMACKAY, Nico McKay, NIKOMACKAY, because one of my favorite people is a scientist, a researcher, and he's one of the humblest people on this planet. And I admire that. So thank you, Nico, brother, for always coming by. Thank you for all your help. Thank you for the community and the mods. If you want to follow me across platforms, it will be Danny Goller on TikTok and Instagram. It will be Goller Danny on X. Just swap the names. LaserX83 on Twitch and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. Come join my membership program, which includes early access to all my content, personal stuff from my life that will only live on YouTube Live and members and nowhere else. Weekly lives, aside from the daily lives that are reserved for members only, where we break down things deeply, which is a lot of fun, and Zoom calls with me from the second membership and up, which helps the project. And I appreciate all the people that are members, and I appreciate all the people that are just part of the community. They're coming here every day and putting in their energy. Love you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Limburgine. Thank you, Charlie, Chris, Sofa King is in the house, Owl, Ebony, all the people that I don't have the chance to mention. Mushroom and Black Dog. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. User 3177. I can't read the whole number. And Rotten Pumpkins. All right, guys. I'm going to call tonight. Salute. Peace and love. Ciao. Have a good night, everyone.